In 2004, I built a shaker-influenced secretary for our home. I am very happy with it. But life happens, and one of the little knobs that I turned got broken, so it is time to replace it. The secretary was solid cherry, so I had to find a piece of cherry. So a quick trip over to the drum where I keep all my dowel rods to look for a nice piece of cherry. If I was being honest, this piece of cherry dowel has probably been in this drum since I built the secretary in 2004. Here are the other candidates I found in the shop. The dowel in the drum is the best color match. The next step is to make a sketch. I traced the original knob. I'm an engineer, so of course I grabbed the dial calipers. And now we jot down the dimensions that we will need when we're turning. And we need to measure the hole where the broken knob was. Re-drilling this will be key. Trying to reproduce antique knobs, it helps when you have an original piece to model the next one off of. That's why the dimensions are so important. The next thing to look for is the shape, the flats, and the angles. Little things add up when you're trying to match. Now to find a collet chuck. This I bought myself at Christmas because it was on a good sale. This will be the first time I used it. And it's one of the reasons I bought the collet chuck. That and clock making. I needed to clean up the parts. They were shipped with oil on it. A 1/2-inch collet will be perfect. And now to install it on my lathe. That works good, and it's very tight fit. This will be a good application. Now, we need to do a quick sharpen. I'll sharpen my scraper and the micro bowl gouge. This knob is very small. Sharp tools make all the difference in quality of work. And sharpening is a key skill for woodworkers. And now to start turning. It's been a very long time since I've turned anything this small. It is a much different feeling, and I had to readjust my touch. You'll see that I don't get in a hurry, because when I do, I make mistakes. Trying to make an exact copy of something requires me to do a lot of checking, both visually and with the calipers. So this is a long, arduous process, trying to get everything exact. It sounds simple to make 2 copies on a lathe, but it surely is not if you've ever tried it. Either that, or I'm just very picky. Having the original knob installed in the support board made it very inconvenient. But we made the workaround work. Check and recheck. I wanted to sneak up on my dimensions, not blow past them. So I took many iterations. As they say, slow and steady wins the race. A couple layout marks will help with the next step. One is for the end of the knob, one is for the end shoulder, and the other is for the deepest part of the cove. Check and recheck. As this is the first time I've turned this knob in 21 years, I need a little patience. When I turned the originals, I didn't even have a chuck. I mounted a block of wood to the faceplate and drilled a hole in it, and then jammed the dowel rod into it. There are many ways to do things, high budget and low budget. The trick is to find what works for you. Check and recheck, checking the shape, the curves, the angles, and the flats. I didn't have a strong game plan when I started turning. I was just feeling my way through this. As I said, 21 years ago is when I turned the last one. Turning the dowel plug on the end, which will go into the hole, is key. You want it to be a tight fit, but not too tight. That is hidden, so it's no problem. I use my calipers and set them with a 1/4-inch block. That'll help me get it to the exact number. I did set the calipers a little large, and then snuck up on the dimension. Now it's just refinement. Keep going back over it until you're happy. How picky are you? This is going to last us another 21 years, so I want it to be correct. The worst thing in the world is to walk by something you made and say, I wish I would have. So, to make things worse, I wasn't happy with the first one, so I turned to the second one. I considered the first one practice. A final sanding through 400 grit, and now to part it off. How's this look to you? I wasn't happy with the big bulb part of the knob. It didn't have the flat that the original had, so I turned the second. That's the nice thing when you're doing it for yourself. You can do it the way you want. This is the second knob. I wasn't completely happy with it when I was done, so I rechucked it up just to give it another pass. I'm not going to make you watch the whole second cut. I flattened out the head a little bit, and I was happy. Another final sanding, and things are looking good. Now let's compare the first and second knobs that I've just turned. You can see that the second one has a larger flat on the outside portion of the bulbous knob. This is more like the original. Here's a picture of the original and the two new ones. Which one would you pick? I chose the one on the right. And now to drill out the support arm. I did not want to freehand this because it is so small and centered in that part. As I said, this is 21 years old, and I didn't want to screw it up now. So off to the drill press for an elaborate setup. You can see there's no room in that raised portion on the end. That's why I wanted precision. This setup will do the trick. I painstakingly made sure that I was centered on the previous hole before drilling. The drilling is the quick part. And now for a test fit. That looks pretty darn good to me. A quick comparison, and they're not exact, but this will have to do. I am happy with this, actually. So let's glue it in and get on with it. I really wanted to match the original finish. So, a trial piece on the unsanded dowel, a sanded dowel, and then finally the second knob that I wasn't using. I looked at it, and it was pretty good. I was happy. I used the wipe-on poly as a first coat, and then I actually used the brush-on poly for the second, because it was a little darker. It'll make it match. It is extremely hard to match the patina of 21 years of age of cherry. I'm happy with how it looks, and I'm sure it will age nicely. Now that everything's done and reassembled into the secretary, let's take a look. I am happy. Here's the arms extended, and now the top down. As I said, this secretary's been in our home for 21 years, and I hope it's in our home for another 21. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and ring the bell. I appreciate you watching the Johnsonville Woodworker.